Canada, we'll see what happens with Canada, but the people of Canada would be paying less than half of the tax. Am I going to impose tariffs on the European Union? Absolutely.
Recently, when U.S. President Donald Trump imposed and then suspended tariffs on all Canadian products,
Canada is far more than just our neighbor known for hockey and maple syrup. It's a veritable powerhouse of natural resources, a treasure trove of oil, natural gas, and minerals that have long provided a safety net for the U.S. economy. Yet here's the twist. Washington's protectionist tariffs have set off a domino effect. When tariffs began to circulate under the Trump administration, Canada didn't sit back. It pivoted toward European and Asian markets, a move that could seriously disrupt the global energy landscape. Picture this: low-cost heavy oil, plentiful natural gas, and those essential minerals that once flowed into U.S. ports might soon be rerouted to refineries in Europe and Asia. Could losing this massive supplier right at our doorstep weaken America's strategic energy edge, affecting jobs, economic development, and our global standing? Or is the U.S.-Canada relationship simply too critical to risk? Recent developments have been nothing short of dramatic. After a brief pause, President Trump announced plans to impose a 25% tariff on Canadian goods. This bold decision isn't just about numbers. It's pushing Canada to diversify its exports and chase new markets overseas. And remember, Canada isn't a small player. It's the largest source of U.S. energy imports and the second largest destination for U.S. energy exports, trailing only Mexico. This is not merely another trade dispute. It's a global drama unfolding in real time. Studies in human behavior reveal that shifts like these don't just alter market dynamics. They reshape our collective confidence and economic stability. Imagine the shockwaves if America's energy balance were to tip. It would be like having the rug pulled out from under you, with jobs and livelihoods hanging in the balance. In the next few minutes, we're going to unpack the global impact of Canada's energy revolution. We'll examine whether Washington's tough tariff tactics are merely a temporary stunt or a transformative move that could shift the balance of power in international energy trade. We'll break down how these changes might not only affect U.S. economic strength, but also reshape global trade itself. While the United States is the world's leading oil and gas producer, it increasingly relies on its northern neighbor for the heavy crude that fuels its refineries and keeps lights on in homes and industries. Canadian imports are critical in reducing America's dependence on OPEC, with over half of U.S. oil imports coming from Canada. Nearly all the natural gas entering the States is sourced from Canada, and our northern partner is also a major supplier of electricity and essential minerals like uranium. In short, Canada is indispensable for U.S. energy security and stable prices. So, why is Canada turning its gaze beyond its backyard toward the European Union and Asian markets? President Trump's threat of 25% tariffs on Canadian imports and 10% on Canadian oil shook one of the world's tightest free trade relationships. Canadian leaders were caught off guard by this sudden hostility from Washington, yet it ignited a fresh push for trade diversification. As part of an ambitious strategy, Canada now aims to increase its non-U.S. exports by 50% by 2025. With the European Union ranking among the world's largest economies and serving as Canada's second-largest trading partner, the opportunities are immense. The Canada-European Union Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, known as CETA, provides Canadian businesses with preferential access to European markets, opening the door to significant growth. Analysts are touting CETA as a pivotal breakthrough for Canadian enterprises seeking to lessen their reliance on the U.S. market. Signed in 2016 by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and EU officials, and now moving toward full ratification, the agreement has removed tariffs on nearly all goods crossing the Atlantic. It also encompasses a wide range of services and aims to standardize regulations through ongoing dialogue. In a world where energy security and stable prices are increasingly valued, Canada's decision to diversify its trade partners is not just smart policy, it's a necessary evolution in a rapidly changing global economy. Picture a scenario where Canadian and European companies can bid on government contracts across Canada and all 27 EU member states, a potential market valued at an astonishing $3.3 trillion for Canadian businesses. However, the twist is that the Comprehensive Agreement, CA, is facing significant obstacles in Europe. While several nations have embraced it, 10 countries, including Italy, Ireland, and Poland, have yet to sign on. The concerns differ. Some critics argue that the dispute settlement mechanism grants too much power to corporations, while others worry about the erosion of national sovereignty, subpar food safety standards, or the protection of local agricultural products. And of course, Brexit has introduced its own complications.
Combine these issues with the trade war threats from President Trump, and Canada, along with the EU, now faces an urgent need to finalize the deal and attract more business participation. But the million-dollar question remains. What happens to the United States if Canada starts redirecting its energy exports? Think affordable heavy oil, abundant natural gas, and crucial minerals toward European and Asian markets instead. Such a shift could compromise America's privileged status as the go-to source for reliable, cost-effective energy, potentially leading to higher energy costs, unstable supply security, and a reduced bargaining position in global energy trade. Canada isn't just sitting on the sidelines. With U.S. tariffs looming like a storm, we need a strategic response that shows Washington America's energy and economic security is intrinsically tied to Canadian resources. By honing in on key commodities, Canada is set to ignite a manufacturing renaissance, boosting GDP, fueling technical innovation, attracting fresh investments, and driving productivity across the board. This isn't merely a trade spat. It's a high-stakes game that could shift global energy dynamics and challenge the U.S. in ways we've never seen. Think of it as an evolving chess match where every move has the power to recalibrate the balance of power in the global market. Our resource strength makes us indispensable to U.S. interests, a vital pillar of America's economic and energy strategy. Picture this. By focusing on select commodities, Canada could spark a new era of manufacturing and bolster ancillary services, all while advancing top-tier sustainability measures like methane capture and emission reductions. In short, a resource-driven strategy doesn't have to be a simple strip-and-ship model. It's about achieving geographic diversification on a grand scale. Take, for example, the 25% tariffs the U.S. has imposed on steel and aluminum imports from Canada and other countries. These tariffs underline the urgent need to find new markets. By expanding our resource base, Canada can de-risk large-scale commodity projects and ramp up exports of agricultural products, materials, and energy to Asia and Europe. Over time, this could open doors to trade with some of the world's largest and fastest-growing economies. Washington's decision to impose a 10% tariff on Canadian energy, compared to 25% on other commodities, speaks volumes about how strategically important our resources are to American interests. How does Canadian oil and gas bolster U.S. domestic and international energy strategies? It's straightforward. Our exports shore up U.S. energy reserves, keep consumer costs down, and support America's drive to expand energy exports to global allies. With North America's energy infrastructure spanning from north to south, shifting away from Canadian resources would be an enormous undertaking. Picture this. Even though the U.S. is a net exporter of oil and natural gas, powering our thriving tech hubs and AI data centers has become a serious energy challenge. The United States is eager to help Europe and our Asian allies break free from less reliable energy sources, yet our own rising demand is stretching reserves to the limit. That's where dependable Canadian energy comes in, steady as your favorite sweater on a cold day. With an integrated network of pipelines and grids, Canadian oil and gas provide that extra cushion, supporting global allies without driving up prices at the pump for everyday Americans. Now, here's the twist. Canadian oil is stepping up in a big way. It already makes up a significant 24% of U.S. oil consumption, delivered through cross-border pipelines that send heavy crude straight to Midwestern refineries designed to process it. Moving away from Canadian heavy crude would not only mean facing sky-high reforming costs, but also risking over-reliance on alternative and often unpredictable sources like Venezuela or the Middle East. Recent upgrades to the Trans Mountain pipeline have nearly tripled Canada's capacity to ship oil to tidewater markets. This expansion positions Canadian oil as a crucial player in fueling global allies such as South Korea and Japan. And let's not overlook Canadian natural gas, which helps secure abundant domestic supplies for the US while freeing up even more for export to Europe and Asia. Studies in human behavior reveal that a reliable support system makes everything run smoother, and that's exactly what Canada offers. Imagine having a trusted friend who always has your back, ensuring robust energy security without breaking the bank. This strategic partnership isn't just about economics. It's a smart, forward-thinking move that could reshape global energy dynamics in our favor. The U.S. Energy Information Association predicts that rising natural gas demand in America will soon outstrip supply growth, especially with booming data centers and ongoing production restructuring. That's where Canadian natural gas steps in, already representing 9% of U.S. consumption and poised to grow even further. Canada is also on track to become a major player in liquefied natural gas exports, uniquely positioned to fuel strategic Asian allies. With 6 West Coast LNG projects in the pipeline, including LNG Canada Phase 1 coming online this year, our projected export capacity of 6.26 billion cubic feet per day could soon rank Canada among the world's top 5 LNG exporters. But Canadian energy doesn't stop there. Low-cost, clean Canadian electricity is vital for powering key U.S. sectors, from artificial intelligence and advanced manufacturing to high-tech industries. While the U.S. produces most of its own electricity, Canadian sources help keep the lights on and costs down across many states. For instance, Hydro-Quebec's new New York power line is expected to supply 20% of New York City's electricity needs, saving residents an estimated $17 billion over the next 3 decades. With more than 30 cross-border transmission lines connecting Canadian provinces to U.S. states, Canada plays a crucial role in grid security and stands as a significant source for additional power generation. Moreover, as AI technology rapidly expands, U.S. electricity consumption from data centers is expected to increase from 4.4% of total consumption in 2023 to 12% by 2028. In this context, Canada's strategic pivot in the energy sector is not merely an economic maneuver. It's a transformative move that could reshape the global geopolitical landscape. What do you think will change next in global energy security with this new equation?